Hey bro, this is phase 4 is what Amadeus and I call it. It's a plan that I've been working on since like last October, and it's coming to reality now. So it's fucking super fun, very chaotic. Amadeus and I call it phase 4, but the reason why it's phase 4 for us, let me pull up your city. We don't have the hover level 3. So you're a lucky bastard for having that. The hover level 3. Amadeus and I both have hover level 1. So to print as many ecos as I have, I don't fucking know. I think I have 22 base ecos and then 5 of the nexuses. So like 27 ecos. To print that off a hover level 1 though is fucking insanely tedious. So I Amadeus and I were like, I've built his city a few times, and recently, in fact, I built his city. So he and have been friends for a while, but we've been talking about this idea for almost a year now, since last October. And hover and this phase project, eco phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. Phase 1 for our system was to generate a bunch of FSP kits, because to print ecos off of the hover level 1 is insanely tedious. It takes so many fucking kits to print as many ecos as I have off the hover level 1. So phase 1 of our system was to generate a bunch of FSP kits from gestures, things like that, yada yada. So I decided to make a totally separate video for you, because the hardware that we're talking about is not going to be the same for you that it is for me and Amadeus. But the mechanics of the FASP is going to be the same, and I think you'll dig the system that I came up with for that. So phase 4, in the, like, I shit you not, dude, I've planned this out since last October, and hardware has changed, obviously. There's new buildings that didn't even fucking exist back in October of last year. But the mechanics of the game are always going to be the same. So I have planned out this formula for a very long time now, and it's pretty fucking fun to actually execute it. So obviously the temples, there's 6 of them, and then fucking 2 more going in tomorrow or soon. I don't know if I'll do them tomorrow, but I'll do them soon. So there's 8 temples. There's 8 months worth of fucking planning to do that. You have 13 of them, so obviously you've been banking up to do this for a while. And if you're gonna dump that many temples, that many orbs, eco utopia kits, things like that, fucking get the most out of your collection. That's the goal. So phase 4 was always intended to have not just dump FASP. I really don't have very many of those, actually. I only have like 16 of them, down to 14 now. So I don't really have a whole lot of finish alls, but that's really irrelevant to me. The purpose of dumping this forge point boost, and all the temples and all that shit is actually the single finish specials. So let's try it real quick just with what I've got. I'll hit the eternal market real quick. Let's see what that guy gives. 1529 off of just a single FSP. So keep that in mind. Let me break down the formula that I came up with. Amadeus will be doing it soon, and he'll fucking skyrocket. He's gonna be doing it soon. I'm about a week into my project, but it's fucking sick, dude. Step number 1 is to find a building that's worth FSP hits plus Blue Galaxy charges. something that produces FSP fragments in return. So I'm using Fjord Storm. That's why I asked if you had one of those, because I'm dumping my forge points on this, and the timers on that is fucking screwed up anyway, so it doesn't matter if I screw it up more. But there's 518 forge points, and the thing that it produces is kits for another building that gives FSP, right? So that's why I'm deleting Blue Galaxy as I do this. So I'm dumping all those FSP kits onto a building that produces more FSP production. So today I collected 67 FSP kits, so I'm burning up like 50 FSP kits on the Fjord Storm thing, printing buildings that give FSP, and then using recycled Blue Galaxy charges to collect, so like BG 14 charges. Today I had 15 of these embers that gave FSP, so burn a whole fucking cycle of Blue Galaxy on those embers and generated 15 FSP kits in the process. And then turn around and use 15 FSP on the Fjord Storm to produce more Ember Fangs. So tomorrow's collection is going to be 16 FSP, 17 FSP, etc., etc. Just from that group of buildings alone. That doesn't include the FSP that I'm getting from ecos, anything like that. So if you're recycling Blue Galaxy, fucking hit shit like this, dude. Seriously. Finish special. 8 fragments, only 6 forge points. Not something that you would normally hit with Blue Galaxy, you know? I think I have deducts in here somewhere, maybe. I don't know. Let's pull up the... Oops. Pull up the flat mode. Because there's a deduct. 10 times, finish special fragment. Fucking hit that with Blue Galaxy. Anything that gives FSP, like the purpose of deleting Blue Galaxy is that the levels are fucking disposable, you know? So you can just fucking run 0 to 50 and fucking hit anything that gives FSP. Sailmakers is another good one. These guys, 6 times FSP kit, only a 40% chance, but pull up your FOE helper, and if it is giving FSP, fucking hit it with Blue Galaxy. There's 12 frags. It's basically half a kit. So, fucking, that's the cool thing about deleting Blue Galaxy. Run through those levels like fucking madman. And while you're doing it, if you are going to be running through those levels like that, that's a good time to drop your temples. And I'll come back to the timing on that. But that's the reason. I haven't even started my FSP dump right now. I have 739, but by the time I actually start dumping those, and I am going to dump them on Eternal Market just for the FP, and hammer my AO up to 220 or something like that. That's the ultimate part of this project, but fucking, I'm only 5 days into my temples, so I've got time to play around with that. And since I am running Blue Galaxy, delete, rebuild, fucking hit your deducts, anything that gives FSP, hammer that, okay? That's a key ingredient with this. In your case, it's a little bit different since you don't have the Fjord Storm. Fjord Storm is super easy to print these Emberfang frags because you only need 15 hits. Assuming some doubles, you only need about 15-20 hits to produce an Emberfang. And each Emberfang gives most of a FSP kit when it hits. And you can see that on FOE helper, obviously. Your city's a little bit different since you don't have the Fjord Storm, but part 1 of phase 4 is FSP dump. And Amadeus and I have been planning that for a while, like I said. Part 1 of that is to find a building we've already got our temples planted, our orbs planted, find a building worth hitting repeatedly, that you can delete Blue Galaxy like 2 or 3 times just hitting that single building, something that will regenerate the FSP kits that you're consuming, right? Emberfang is fucking easy because it takes 15 hits to produce one, and each building produces close to a complete kit when it hits FSP. Since you don't have that, I would say hit your evergreen, and I know that you have 9 in storage, but continue hitting that and plant and generate even more eco fragments. And there's a second part to this process that I think you'll fucking jizz in your pants once I explain that to you. It's fucking cool, man, and it's something that I've been planning for a long time, but it's pretty fucking cool. People have this like stupid misconception that if you're gonna dump a bunch of FASP kits, you need to have all this boost running while you do it. But it's actually super counterproductive, especially if you're using Eco Utopias, because the Eco Utopia, once you ascend it, stops producing forge points, first of all, is no longer rushable, secondly. So you're losing the, like, Nexus potentially produces FSP kits, correct? As well as forge points. So every time I drop a finish all, I'm getting the forge points at least, and possibly the FSP kit out of it as well. And there's this stupid misconception that if I'm going to dump a bunch of FASP kits, I need to fucking ascend everything that gives forge point boost. But it's absolutely a waste of finish all kits, because the value of Eco Nexus comes from the FSP kit that it generates, not from the fucking extra 8% on the forge point boost. The value of it comes from collecting Eternal Market with FSP kits. There's 1,526. So I did the math on it, and each Utopia, each Nexus that I upgrade to a Utopia adds about 2,000 forge points to my total city collection, right? But I get almost 1,600, it's 1,526 off of a single FSP kit from the Eternal Market. So the value of upgrading a Nexus to Utopia does not come from the forge point boost that you add to your city. It comes from the FSP benefit of collecting the FSP off that Nexus and then applying it to the Eternal Market and generating basically the same amount of forge points that my entire city gets boosted with the extra forge point boost from the Nexus. Does that make sense so far? Now combine that with the Blue Galaxy delete, and the forge point production of that is going to be doubled. It's 3,052 or whatever. And like I said, I still have 2 more temples that I plan to drop, and then I have 5 Utopia kits once I actually start hammering the Eternal Market. So by the time I actually get around to burning my FSP on the Eternal Market, each individual FSP kit off the Eternal Market is going to be like, I don't know, 5,000 forge points, and delete Blue Galaxy and run that in the process. So if it doubles, it's going to be about 10,000, right? 10,000 forge points per FSP, not FASP, not finish all, just 10,000 forge points from a single FSP kit. So there's really no point to upgrade your Nexus to a Utopia right now. The point is to generate more FSP fragments, so that once we do upgrade that to Utopia, all of those additional FSP can be applied to the Eternal Market, or whatever your highest FP producer is. I assume it's the Eternal Market, but maybe you have some cool shit that I don't have. I don't know. Anyways, here's the timeline. Let me sketch it out for you because I did the math, thought about this for a while, like almost a year now. I've been thinking about the best way to do that because there is some overlap here, right? Like I'm going to plant a bunch of temples, but what am I going to store? I'm potentially storing something that produces FP, and I'm adding FP production to the city. But if I'm storing FP producing buildings, it's kind of like 2 steps forward, 1 step back sort of thing, you know? So, in a nutshell, here's what I came up with. We start with the smallest FP boosters that we have, which is going to be like Temple and Orb. And small is key here because we still have FASP kits, finish all kits to burn in this process. So the less real estate that we spend on our city that's ascended and therefore not rushable, we want to minimize that real estate. So we're getting as much forge point benefit as possible, but on the smallest real estate. Because we do have finish all kits to burn still, right? This is good for a month. So in the first week or 2 weeks, FSP buildings that produce FSP. So basically you're breaking even on FSP. Run your Blue Galaxy fucking as many times as you want every day, dude. I don't care. Like I said, because you asked me earlier how many times I'm gonna delete Blue Galaxy in this process. Fucking as many times as I have the energy to do it. Like theoretically, if I was retired and everyone donated as soon as I posted, I would probably delete my Blue Galaxy about 50 times in this process. So the sky's the limit. Realistically for me, with my work schedule and you lazy fucks, I'm gonna aim for like 6 or 7 cycles of Blue Galaxy, but the more the better. Fucking collect everything in your city that produces FSP. It doesn't matter if it only generates fucking 6 forge points. Blue Galaxy, Blue Galaxy, Blue Galaxy. Fucking hammer that shit. Here's where it gets cool though. Instead of burning all of your finish alls at the end of the cycle, burn them throughout the process, because we already have a shit ton of temples and orbs, right? So we're getting all this extra forge point boost and goods boost, and we've already figured out that the finish all with a bunch of utopias is less than the single finish applied to Eternal Market with a ton of boost. So don't waste your finish alls and have a bunch of utopias planted, because you're going to lose the production value off of those utopias. So keep those at Nexus and burn your finish alls as you do this process. So dump a finish all, get up to Blue Galaxy level 50, hit all your FSP shits, blah 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 blah. My screen right is a fucking train wreck right now. Dump your finish alls throughout the Blue Galaxy process, and the purpose is to burn FSP on a building that generates more FSP. So if you gotta fucking hammer your ecos, do it. Fucking whatever. It doesn't matter. Use your FASPs throughout this process. Once you start running low on FASP on your finish alls, that's when you'll dump utopias, ascended villas, things like that. Big buildings that once we ascend these, they're not going to be rushable by the finish all. So you kind of want to use your finish all in this part of the process while you're generating more FSP. dump all your Utopia and Villa once you're getting low on the FASP. I'm going to save 2 or 3 FASP for the end of this process just to reset my city back to normal. But they're not going to be profitable. They're just going to get it back to normal basically. So once you start running low on FASP, that's when you upgrade your Utopias, your villas, drop a few more orbs, more temples, whatever. But just fucking max out your city for FP boost. And then you take all the FSP that you generated in part 1 and hammer that eternal market like a fucking red-headed stepchild. Does that make sense with me so far? Key here is to overlap the expiration date on the temples and the orbs, which are only good for a month, and the key is to overlap that right here. So you have like 1 or 2 weeks of just fucking FSP on Eternal Market paired with Blue Galaxy deletions, just cycle after cycle after cycle. Fucking the only thing that you're losing, like if you're gonna FSP this anyways and you have enough kits to run it 1,000 times, delete Blue Galaxy for every fucking single charge. Seriously. Because the only thing that you're going to lose is forge points, and Blue Galaxy is stupidly cheap to level. So the key here is some overlap, where we want Temple and Orb at the beginning, where we're just producing FSP kits and using FSP to produce more FSP. But once we start using the FASP, you really don't want the ascended Utopias or villas or anything like that. So all of your FASP needs to happen on the first half of this, and then all of the FSP, all the single FSP happens on the front half of that. And there's like a 2-week overlap where all of the FSP that you generate from this can be applied to Eternal Market with temples, orbs, Utopias, and villas applied to the Eternal Market. My screen is becoming pointless right now. It's illegible. To give you an idea though, so I'm using about 80 FSP kits per day on the Fjord Storm, printing more of these Ember Fangs, and then use an FASP kit here and there as I go through the BG process. Hit it, finish all, double dip everything that gives FSP. So I'm burning about 80 FSP per day on the Fjord and generating around 80, 90 FSP kits from the buildings that I'm adding to the city as I go. And I've got my temples planted, so since I'm burning 80 FSP per day on a building that gives a shit ton of fucking forge points and goods, I might as well be capitalizing on that benefit, right? But basically I'm breaking even on my FSP consumption. I'm spending 80, but I'm adding buildings as I go that generate more, to the point where I'm spending 80, collecting 80, spending 80, collecting 90, spending 80, collecting 100. And my FSP production is just continuing to increase. So I'm only 5 days into it. Next week is stop this process. I'll have enough Ember Fangs to just coast for a week, collect 100 FSP per day, and add that to the FSP that I have currently. So I have 700 currently. I'm going to add another 1,000 and then upgrade. Keep using the FSP kits as I go. But once I'm out of FASP kits, then I'll upgrade these to Utopia. And fucking 2,000, 3,000 FSP kits on this guy with plus 300% boost. So I'll have 8 temples, 1, 2, 3 villas, 10 orbs. I have another orb kit in inventory. I don't know if I have the population, but I can probably create that. So I'll potentially have 11 orbs, plus the 5 utopias. Pretty fucking ridiculous on the forge point boost. But at this point, the all my FASP are spent, so it's not like burning an FASP with the ascended shit is gonna fucking hurt my collection at all. No, I just have 2,000 single finishes to burn on the Eternal Market, run Blue Galaxy through the process, and each individual FSP is worth about 10,000 forge points. So that shit adds up pretty quick. Alright, I kind of rambled, but fucking let me know if you have any questions, because I've been mapping this out for a while. So if you have any questions, fucking let me know, bro. Love you. Later.